Alright, so this is the first of a few videos on presentation of your research, just covering some of the do's and do nots. We're going to think a bit about the slides in this one, and the next one think a bit more about how you present yourself. And then we may go through an example and talk about Zoom as well. So how do you use your slides? How do you give a presentation? The first thing to remember is that you are presenting your research, not a paper. I mean, obviously your research will be in a paper that we read, but you want to present the work you've done and what you've found. So the first thing you don't want to do is just present a bunch of block quotes. We're not here to read off your slides. If you have interview responses, you can put some on there, but even with that, you want to draw our attention to parts of it, maybe change the color of the text. But if you put something up like this, then we're just reading and we're not listening to you, and what you should be doing in a presentation is telling us the information and using your slides and your visuals as an aid, as a backup, to kind of guide our attention to particular points. Don't do this either. This isn't really any different. A bunch of long sentences that we have to spend a couple minutes reading. It's a couple minutes that we're not paying attention to you. And these are things that we can read in the paper. You need to boil down things down a little bit more. And not have long chunks of small text in particular. This looks better. You want to use your slides with you using words as an outline. Note how each of these little bits of text is pretty easy to take in a second. It really doesn't take much time. Notice the larger font. This is important. We shouldn't be squinting, even though, yes, we'll be on Zoom for this one. Generally speaking, you want to have quickly digestible text if you have it on there. Break things down into little factual details that are necessary, but not long sentences. Also, you want to avoid the use of small text. Depending on if you're using Google or Apple or Microsoft, the number of the font will change. I think in my Keynote, when I use it, it's like 80. It's the same as about 28 in another one. In general, though, you don't want to put a lot of small text on slides. These should be, again, something we can take in quickly and digest quickly. So small font is very irritating. I'm going to try to have some consistency in presentation. Right. So another good use of slides, in addition to being as an outline, is as a visual aid. Maybe you have a picture or a map or a graph or a chart. Or even here, you'll note I've used a fake quote from an interview, perhaps. And you notice how I've changed the color of some of the text. This is something that I do when I present interviews to help draw attention to important parts of it. This is the default template of the slides, and for some reason there are a lot of pots here. All right, so in the next video we're going to think about how do you present to us and what does that look like.